Hello and welcome to Elevated Pitch. Today I am sat here virtually with Dr. Christian Kusmitsch, the CEO of Mindset Technologies and the founder, an Austrian business who are making waves in quite an interesting space. Christian, welcome to the show.
Hello, Daniel. Happy to be there.
Lovely stuff. Firstly, it'd be great if you could introduce yourself a bit. Tell us a bit about how you came to set up Mindset and a bit about your history.
Yeah, well, when I describe myself, age definitely is a thing here. I'm not the typical, I leave the university and found a startup. I'm 48 years old. So I have quite experience in 20 years in strategic consulting. But actually my roots are in a very natural scientific area in neuroscience and psychology, psychophysiological science, a lot electrophysiology. That means putting electrodes to different parts of the body, most of them on the scalp. And this is what I did until 2000, when I worked at the University of Vienna at the Medical Institute for Environmental Health. And I also studied in San Diego, neuroscience, neuropsychology, with a really great professor. I always will like and follow him, Vilyanur Ramachandran, the Miro guy. And this was really the thing where I had to decide in the end, something around 2000, what to do about my career. Will I stay at the university in some dark laboratory, putting electrodes to people and animals, probably, or doing something else? And since I was father at this time for 4 years, so I had it pretty easy, and I said I need to do something else where to make money. So I went to consulting, starting the typical career, the huge consultancy. And then after a while, I had my own company, because I was pretty strong at statistics, and I used this for evaluating email communications in companies for a while. Doing statistics on that, because at this time email was something pretty new for companies on the one hand. On the other hand, it also used a lot of resources, because people were over communicating and sending 40 megabytes in their weak corporate networks with the small modems, and so it was pretty relevant to do this at this time. How I came to Mindset is actually twofold, because when I was running my consultancy 15 years ago, we had a lot of projects in the area of product development and launches for energy and engineering companies. And the thing is, there was a big boom at this time. All this green energy started, and I had some also graphic guys, graphic artists working for me, designers, and they had to work a lot. So if there's someone there from the labor union, it's way past, so no chance to sue me. But they had to do a lot. But they came to me and they said, you know what, we're having really a problem, because we're having now this typical CRT, the monitors, the old ones, like the big TV sets. And our eyes hurt. So it's not good, because we have a lot of work and the eyes hurt, and I know they're expensive and super, but we have to do something about the work. We know it has to be done, but it's really serious. Then I said, okay, but you come from this business. Tell me something what we can do with your eyes. And I digged into this topic, and I found out that actually when I switched the whole thing to LCDs, they complained that they are getting tired. And that is very relevant, because indeed, those typical old cathode ray instruments were pretty bad for the eyes, because they flickered all the time at a certain frequency, 60 hertz, but they were pretty good for the brain, because they flickered. And LEDs don't flicker. And so I digged into this topic as a neuroscientist again, and I found out that this computer vision syndrome is relevant. And I found an investor at this time even. I also proposed to a founding body, and we won actually a prize, and had a 2 years project in finding out how computer work damages or not damages the eyes. And this in the workplace. And what the outcome is, the outcome is the investor went bankrupt, but not due to us. he had some other investments that didn't work. So he had the typical total breakdown with a divorce, and yeah, I don't even know where he is nowadays. He's just vanished. But we have a patent from this time that also covers attention, and we knew at this time that measuring attention, human attention, was pretty hard because the instruments weren't there.
Okay.
The cameras were extremely expensive, or well, not apt for this. But years later, when I worked for Red Bull as an innovation manager at a weather company,
Yep.
which sounds totally different, uh, everything fit together all of a sudden. I thought, okay, IoT, different data sources, big data, artificial intelligence for automation. We have it all now. The things we didn't have when we needed them. And then I said to a colleague and friend in Switzerland, Aleda, you are in the investor relation business, find me an investor again, because I have a super idea. And this is where we are now, 1.5 years later.
Interesting. So tell me more about the company. Obviously, that's the kind of background, the history of it. What is the company at the moment? What are you looking to do?
We are currently, when I talk about the team, we have a specialized team that is consisting of at least 5 co-founders with different work intensity currently. Alada is the investment relations manager and business developer who's also developing the network around from Austria, but also from Zurich. So he's rooted in Zurich. Our AI guy for behavioral detection is a really a cool guy sitting in Taiwan, specialist for koi carps. Sounds strange.
Okay, that's
yeah. But I mean, what he does actually is he invented the AI platform to detect different and classify different kinds of koi carps in the ponds. Because they're very expensive, of course, you have to know what the worth of the asset is. And the only thing you have is you have a camera. And then thousands of fish just swim by.
Zoom past.
Exactly. They zoom past and you have to decide, okay, this is the one, this is this one, and this is the worth because similar fish had this price at this auction. And this is what he invented in terms of AI, amongst other things. So he's really, really, really good at AI. Also in machine vision, we have a former professor of the Technical University in Vienna. He is the machine vision guy.
Yeah.
A little bit nerdy, but that's actually his strength.
Okay.
Experimenting all the time. Plus, we have a former biophysics specialist who is planning the architecture, CTO. He's currently sitting in Switzerland.
Okay.
And, yeah, we are developing now projects in different areas and verticals together, starting with esports and sports.
Okay.
And this is where we stand. So we're in the actually we're in the, so to say, financially in the pre-seed phase. We're still bootstrapped and we are looking for investors. Currently we have business angels that are interested, but we need to have this bigger frame as well.
Okay.
And this is where we are currently.
Very cool. We'll come on to the investment in a second. I wanted you mentioned a few bits and pieces around the kind of problem statement that Mindset is looking to solve. What if you had to kind of highlight it in a headline? How would you kind of put what is the problem that Mindset solves?
Well, we solving our solution is we predict attention. We predict human attention.
Okay.
So the problem is that in any system, when we talk about the very modern problem, actually, we are automatizing ever more cars, machines. We work with robots in a work environment, like in factories. That's the one thing. But a really famous robot would be a Tesla car, for instance, an autonomous driving car, which is basically working pretty well. Just if you let it alone with the sensors it has, but there is one thing, with every automated process you have today, you have the time where people have to get into this process if something happens. So if a catastrophe emerges, something that the car can handle alone, the driver needs to be in the driver's seat again. Yeah. And this is exactly what proves to be very difficult when you don't know how the driver's attention is at the current moment. Yep. Is the driver sleeping? Does he have a heart attack? The worst case, which could happen. Is he concentrated on the road? Is he focused or not? All this information is in a totally autonomous car. It's not there.
Yep.
In a normal car, the car can learn a lot from the driver's behavior because the driver is moving the steering wheel, the gear stick, the gas pedal. So you have a behavioral modeling. You could say, okay, this is an anomaly. Detected an anomaly, driver could be sleeping. So for the car, this would be a solution to predict attention and say, okay, typically we have markers here from the eyes because the driver doesn't do anything in an autonomous car, he just gets in. What we do is we have the profile. We know people like this have a blink rate that looks like this and eye movements and a heart rate variability. And if that changes, we tell to the car, you know what, the driver would not be ready to take over. Whatever you do, but you have to do something in case something happens. And
Yep.
this is what we currently develop together in a consortium
Okay.
with a Korean artificial intelligence agency and also typical OEMs in the car business.
Yep.
So we have submitted this as a project as well.
Wonderful. It's a very international feel to this, which is really rather wonderful, especially at such an early stage in a business's kind of lifespan, in the whole scheme of things. You've answered a decent chunk of actually what the solution is. So, is there anything you want to add on that? Or I think actually that's quite a nice finite statement. But please, I'll give you the chance to answer.
The solution is a software and APIs in the end. What we do is we create the platform of attention data that come from various sources.
Okay.
We also work with data sources in esports. Why esports? Because esports is totally digitized. You know what people are doing. They have cameras, they have microphones, they have everything is digitized, everything you can imagine. And also the effect of the performance is digitized. So why not adding something like the psychophysiological data?
Yep.
Currently, it's kind of a trend because Garmin does that. Garmin has an own gamers watch currently. Yep. So they have some setup for just measuring the heartbeat during gaming, which is pretty relevant also. But there are also, of course, for attention, it's the eye movements, and this is where what we look at with cameras and what we put in our models, and it's much more than the eye movements, much more it's the blinks, and that makes it so difficult. Because the speed of the blinks is very characteristic of is a very characteristic marker of the attention the next 4 minutes. And for esports and also sportsmen, that's critical because they know exactly where they stand in their middle. Are they in the zone? Are they in the middle in the best way to perform, or are they declining? Do they need mental setup that is different? Mental training that relates to that? Did they get tired after a short while? Well, we are the pulse watch for the brain, so to say.
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit like the kind of equivalent in Formula One to some extent, where you've got a slightly different driver setup depending on the conditions. Obviously, in esports, the conditions are here in your head. Very interesting, I must say. So, pardon me. So talk to me about the kind of key investment highlights and just kind of the bullet points as to why someone should want to talk to you, and also around the current raise, the current money that you're looking to get into the business.
Yeah. So when we talk about traction, we have traction in terms of networks to esports companies that will work with us. We have traction in terms of non-dilutive funds from national funding, research funding. We're currently on this track and we stay on this. But what we need now is a first funding round for just installing and getting the platform and some hardware together. We have all the plans, so we are ready. We also have a patent, but currently we need for the next 2 years $1.8 million.
Okay.
That we are raising through business angels and also some lead investor, because the next round will be, especially in esports, a B2C round. And that means it's a lot more money than just talking to a couple of teams, be it football teams or esports teams. So this will be a very excessive round in terms of money, but also in terms of opportunities, because we're talking about billions, virtually billions of esports guys out there, or
Yeah.
gamers.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have money.
They
And they use
do.
it.
They do. You hear it. Certainly, a number of people in my network are part of that community in their professional lives as well as their personal lives, and it's only growing at a kind of almost triple digit percentage points year on year. So yeah, really interesting market. Now, talk to me about the kind of overall market in kind of more kind of standardized investment terms. What do you see as the kind of sizing, and what are the market? What is the market for mindset?
We have indeed, we have different verticals, and when we see that we are just putting ourselves to the core, where we provide APIs for development of apps, and also we provide software as a service for instance, esports. We are facing, for instance, we are facing a market for sports and esports with the professional teams, and I must say, in total numbers, very high number of consumers, a market of something to 50 million, actually.
Okay.
Because we have a model where we say 1,500 euro per team for a standard license, where you get a better training, where you have access to a dashboard as a trainer, where you see exactly how your trainees are performing during training. All this put together in a very attractive model would be one source of income for the esports part. For the sports part, for the football part, it's pretty evident what we do. We have the consulting approach, that we go there with classes. We gather data. We're doing a goalkeeper training in the soccer area, and this is a package that comprises consulting, plus also for us the opportunity to gather data again of very high performing people, the goalkeepers. And this again is a package that already has a price and is on the market. So putting it all together, having 50 millions in 5 years, within 5 years, is totally reachable. It's in the business plan, but one thing I've learned from business plans, from writing them, it always takes 3 times as long, it is 3 times as expensive, and not regarding all the revenue outlook you have, but it is definitely a super good business, and we have planned it through for different verticals. For instance, if you think of the car market, although it's not rising, it's pretty stable or even decreasing due to Corona. If we would be somewhere in every 10th car for €2, well, just imagine that is something. So the car market will be 15% of our business after a short while, actually. Best case after our project.
Interesting. Can't wait to hear more about it and see the progress, I must say. The next question is very much around the kind of the rationale, as it were, as the funding. So where's that 1.8 going to be spent? What are you going to do with it? How will it push you forward? What can an investor expect their 1.8 million or portion of that to how does that improve the business?
What we will do with this is, first of all, program the platform in a way that is fully fledged and suitable for the esports and sports market. So those are the ones that are where we are in business already and in the contacts, and we need to develop this product to the extent where we say, okay, we can go to the consumer market as well. And this is exactly what happens after this 1.8. We have the professional market covered. We can provide, for instance, what is this? We provide training solutions for the players, training solutions for the trainers. Within 2 years, and now that's the point, they are pretty superstitious. That means, would they use us in competition as well? I don't think so. They would not use our guidance or biofeedback because they are just too superstitious. It needs some time. I'm realistic about this. But what is relevant is to take those attention data that we gather and put it into the media stream. because the media is actually the way esports business is made. I mean, the spending, each fan is worth $1, which is nothing. So it's totally underperforming in terms of fan engagement. When you think of a typical football fan of Barcelona, he spends a house in his lifetime on the football club. Not so much in esports, but media is taking a big part and just showing what is the potential of this guy. He's in a heavy battle now in be it League of Legends or something else, or maybe FIFA, because we are very realistic here. What is the life curve, so to say? What is the potential of this guy? This is the finale, and how we are standing with the biometrics. And this is something that's very interesting for media to broadcast. Would be also interesting for betting bureaus to know, of course. Is
absolutely
another thing.
Absolutely.
But that is what you get in the end, a fully fledged solution for this, and one foot into the consumer market. Because what we have then is, if we need it, and that's always the part, if we need it, a camera we call the buff cam. It's a device that you can put on the rim of your monitor. That is an expert tool for detecting the eye movements we need. It's personalized. It's just sending the data to the cloud, but it's a super detection device. We have the plans ready, so it's just waiting to be composed. And this is the thing that can be also multiplied. If the investor is not afraid of hardware, which many investors are. And we are afraid a little bit too, I must say.
I always think there's, in the past, people have often asked, kind of, can you find me an investor? And I always think it's the wrong question to ask, is can you find me the right investor? Because out of 10,000, you can guarantee 99% aren't, and you're not right for them and they're not right for you. And so that if you kind of match up at that point, it tends to end in a relatively negative scenario for both. So if hardware is a big part of the business and software, it's you need people with experience or the will to carry that forward. That's for sure. And they are out there, as there are with every potential kind of sector of investment, right? It's just very different. So no, I appreciate that point hugely, and it's a very good one, because finding the right investor is often quite difficult. One of the reasons why we're here today and doing the show, certainly. Hopefully to get more people in front of more eyes and ears, so they can connect with each other. The last question I always ask people, aside from money, that's the obvious reason why we're here talking today. What's on your kind of shopping list of needs for mindset? So what else do you need? Is it partnerships? Is it expertise in specific areas, or geographic kind of knowledge? What there's always things on a list that people need, and obviously we're hopefully going out to a relatively wide audience. So what would you say that you need to progress at this point?
Oh yeah, we definitely have to list, and we will have an even longer list when we're looking for the right people. We have 5 very good people, but we have to look for at least 30 people the next 3 years. But also part of the shopping list is partnerships for research projects. So what we do here is, although it seems obvious, know the attention. Well, we know gaze tracking in an advertisement for a long time, but it's the difference. That's the point. So what we need is a lot of research on some of the data sources, because we need to feed the data back the right way into the system via APIs. That is a software task. We need the right architecture. We need real-time speed. So we need the right partnerships. So if there is a POC out there, like we are currently, we're having a couple of POCs that are also just a little bit delayed by Corona, but it's not breaking our bones. That's okay. That's the situation here. But we are starting with POCs in different areas, also in defense, for instance. We'll be there in medical education. And what we need there is good partners who also open their hardware for us. If we say we have hardware needs, that's the point. We want to be pretty open for hardware. And I always wonder whether that comes from the weather business I was in for 5 years for this Red Bull company. Because what you have in weather business is you have innumerable data data sets actually from the most different devices you can imagine. Weather station here, an airplane here, this there at different times. But the thing is, it works pretty well. I mean, there is rarely something where prediction has improved so good like in weather the last couple of years due to computing sources and the right sensors. And we have to do the same actually. Sounds strange, but we in the predicting business with what we do, and we have to follow the same approach. If we are too specialized in a sector, it doesn't work because we have attention all day as people. And Polar, for instance, would be a great partner because they understood that, because they said, you know what, you have to wear our watch all day. By the way, watch, piece of hardware. So it's very sensible here.
Yep.
And that's the point. You have to wear it all day. Then it makes sense because we can show you your sleep is not that good, or
Yep.
you are doing your training for recuperation, or you have trained too much or not enough. And all this only works because it's always there. It's embodied. And this
Okay.
is where we have to go. It has to be embodied, what we do to some extent. And then we are here and we can also predict anomalies for health, like illnesses probably. Not saying, you know what, you will suffer from this or that, but you know what, you should better check because we have some markers here that are not normal.
Yep. Okay. Wonderful. Christian, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really fascinating to hear a bit more about yourself, your history, and also mindset. Hopefully, one of the listeners will get in touch and be interested in taking things forward. But if you do want to get in touch with Christian, he's available via LinkedIn directly, or please reach out to us via the website or our social media channels. Will put you in touch. There's also going to be a teaser that will be downloadable via the website. So either of those, please do reach out and we'll look to get you in touch. Dr. Christian Kusmitsch, thank you so much for joining us and look forward to hopefully hearing about a very successful future for Mindset.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the
Lovely,
invitation. It was great.
lovely stuff.